Right, let's talk about the performance last night, Danny. We'll get you straight into it.
Yep.
Obviously, we're speaking about Harry Maguire. Gareth has come out and said, look, there's some individual moments in that match that people won't focus on because he's a defender, and when you make big mistakes and let goals in, obviously they're going to be the ones that people hone in on. If you were Gareth Southgate, who would you be starting on the first game of the World Cup against? Who was it, Iran?
I think it's really difficult in defence because there is a real lack of quality at centre-half. There's a real big issue in that position. Lack of experience, lack of quality in there. Harry Maguire's been there, seen it, done it, played well in those tournaments. John Stones picks up another injury. That's his, second or third so far this season. So if John Stones isn't fit, you've had to call back in Eric Dyer. Because who else is there, realistically?
Ben White?
Not playing at Arsenal.
Well, not playing in that position at Arsenal.
So but
playing more than Harry Maguire in his
position.
position.
But playing right back. If he's not good enough to get in the team at Arsenal, so Harry Maguire's not good enough to get in the team at Manchester United. Tamori, Gahey, 6 caps between them. You know, there's...
I don't know. I think it's more of a case of there's not that much quality at right back at Arsenal, so you almost need to deploy him in there, and you bought two better.
I just think you're going into a tournament. And people go, you want to play amazing, scintillating, attacking football. It's about not losing games in tournament football. England will get out of the group. You know, it's not a given, but it's pretty much that's what will happen. Then it's about not losing to the big teams. And you're going to need players that you know that you can trust, that have experience in that. You can't throw Gahey and Tamori into that immediately because you don't know what's going to happen.
But wasn't that the ideal situation then, to throw them in games like this?
Because Harry Maguire's not been playing, you've got to give him some game time. You've got to try and get him up to speed. Obviously missed loads of games leading up to the last Euros, ended up in team of the tournament, did pretty well in that. Eric Dyer's had to be recalled because of that. Defensively, we are weak. And as I said, a couple of injuries and we've got real serious problems. So I think he had to play Maguire out of necessity, had to play probably Dyer out of necessity as well, because there just aren't the options. That's the biggest problem.
I agree, Danny. I was looking at the game last night, and obviously I watched the extended highlights. I really enjoyed it, and I just thought you saw it kind of summed England up for me. The performance, you saw the good and the bad. England going forward, coming back, showing great mentality, coming back 2-0, 3-2. But the weakness to lose goals, that's why I think there's a question mark against England.
That's always been there, Ali.
Yeah.
Always, and I've said it along. And you can ask Sven. Ask Sven the centre halves he had to pick from, the choice that he had, and you go Rio and Sol.
Yes.
Then you had Gareth and Martin Keown. Then you had John Terry, Jamie Carragher, Matty Upson, Ledley King. All of those would be ahead of the players we've got now. It's Jonathan Woodgate was in there as well. Unbelievable. Quality to pick from. We don't have that.
They had a problem with, wasn't it?
Too right.
Well, it then begs the question, right? If it's one of your weaker areas, Danny, why are you playing 3 of them? Why would you not play 2 of them?
There's no pace. And I think, ideally, I think Kyle Walker will play there. And obviously Kyle didn't start last night because I think obviously he's had these injury problems this season. 2 games in 3 days. Probably didn't want to start him in that. But obviously John Stone gets injured, and people said, why can't you put on whoever? It's like, well, you need some pace. Maguire's not got a great deal of pace. Dyer obviously hasn't got a great deal of pace. They've got other qualities. So you've got to have some sort of pace in that back 3 for a little bit of cover, and that's why Kyle Walker's in there, and he's done that before, played that position many, many times.
Jonathan's message, I want to read it to you. Ben White, Tamori, Burns, Stones, Gahey, Dyer, all playing well. Stop telling us we're lacking quality at centre-back.
But they're not international quality, Laura. That's the problem. And Ali, you'll know that the step up is massive, absolutely huge, and that's the difference. You can't just throw untried, untested people in, especially a partnership. When you put young players into a team, even at Premier League level, you've got to have senior players around them to help them through it. You can't go with unknowns into international. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't, Ali, as a manager.
I agree, Danny, but the only thing I would say is I would definitely, me personally, I would definitely be going into this tournament in 7 weeks' time with a better idea of how Tomori Gay would be able to handle a situation.
But I think Cody's next on the list. Because,
quite possibly.
Because Cody, you know what you're going to get. He's got a few caps. He's solid. He's steady. He's a good lad. He's a good pro. He's not going to cause issues if he's not in the team.
Well, then why didn't he bring Mings back in? If that's the case,
because he's terrible.
No, but for England, he didn't put a foot wrong for that Euros campaign before they switched and brought Harry and everyone back in.
I think Maguire's better on the ball.
But for your argument, though, if Harry Maguire gets injured, so Stones is injured, hopefully he comes back in. If pick up a couple of injuries, like you're saying, and then the next one down that you're talking about are players that haven't been integrated into the team because you're saying they don't have enough experience and aren't going to get it. And then the next thing you know, you're leaning on them to play in a World Cup with no experience at any level.
If Stones and Maguire get injured, you probably end up playing Dyer, Trippier and Walker. I'd have thought maybe, or Cody. And Cody comes into that. If you go Cody, Walker and Dyer.
But next step, Danny, what if, God forbid, what if Harry Kane gets injured? Can you take a chance on Tony? Can you take a chance on Abraham? That's where I think he's left himself open a little bit. We know what Harry Kane can do. It was an ideal opportunity. Just give us a look at Tammy Abraham. Give us a look at Ivan. I mean, if we can't get a look at Ivan Toney now, we're never going to get a look at him.
No, I get that. I thought he would have got some minutes against Italy, and I thought he maybe would have even started the game against Germany. Maybe had they beaten Italy, that might have happened. But again, Harry Kane starts. We know that.
Yep.
He's going to play. If he doesn't, we've struggled for a long time to find a backup to Harry Kane. Loads and loads of players have been tried and it hasn't quite worked out. I think if Harry Kane's not there, you probably end up going with maybe a false nine and maybe playing Foden in that position or somebody else, because no one has really done it yet in that number 2 position. And I get it was maybe an ideal opportunity to give Tony a chance, but you're looking at Harry Kane, you're thinking, I need a chance. It falls to Harry Kane, he scores, gets the penalty, dispatches it, fantastic. Comes back from that. That's the issue you've got with Harry Kane. You know what he's going to do. If Harry Kane gets one chance, he scores. We saw, Sterling had a couple of chances, missed. Saka comes on, a couple of chances, misses. Harry Kane gets one chance, he scores. And that's why you always leave Harry Kane on, just in case he gets that one chance.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that for sure. Like, look, he's miles and miles ahead of any backup striker that we've got. But he hadn't scored for a while for England. He eventually got that penalty. But I'm with Ali. I wonder what would have happened if, for example, you go to World Cup, same arguments I was just saying about the centre-backs, really. You go to World Cup, if Harry Kane gets injured, and then everybody behind him's kind of like, well, we haven't had any opportunities, we haven't had much confidence given us
I
either.
think if Harry Kane's injured, I think we're struggling big time. Simple as that.
Let's hope that doesn't happen, eh?
Well, fingers crossed, touch wood and everything else. But yeah, I think Harry Maguire is so pivotal and vital to giving England a chance.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.